Hail and well met. My name is Ryan and I shall be your guide on this journey, detailing the adventures of the group known as the Reckless Flame. Let us meet our cast. First we have Akira, the naive and innocent 12-year-old tiefling warlock of the Great Old Ones, and his stuffed toy called Patches who speaks to the boy. Not creepy. Akira is played by Brad. Secondly we have another tiefling, Fergus McClung, Gloomstalker Ranger and former bassist of the acclaimed rock band The Shooty Newts, played by Alex. The third member of the group is a fur-bulk trickster cleric named Bryn Beren. He claims to be completely trustworthy and he should know. Bryn's player is Richard. Next is the genius spellcaster Hawthorne Murr, half-elven heiress to an important Everescan family, and she is accompanied by Sir Percival Silkwhiskers, the black cat familiar with a top hat that may be more than he appears. Hawthorne is portrayed by Steph. And last but not least is Orloff Broadaxe. He is a dwarf. He is a paladin. He is in need of a drink. This character belongs to James. And finally there's me, Ryan, the Dungeon Master. I control everything outside of these 5 characters. I started running this game a number of years ago for my friends and did not record the sessions at first, so now that the recordings I do have are being put online, I thought I should recap what was missed by reading the copious notes taken by one of the players, Steph. The start of this adventure was based on the Lost Mines of Phandelver adventure from the D&D starter set. However, I sprinkled a few of my own things throughout in order for the sessions to continue beyond that initial adventure, and it takes place in my own personal version of the Forgotten Realms. I think that's probably enough preamble. Let's get on with that there recap. Session 1. A peg-legged bard approaches each adventurer. Would they be interested in retrieving a great source of magic from the lost mine of Phandelver? Gundren Rockseeker will meet you at the Yellow Mark Tavern. He is looking to escort a group to Wave Echo Cave. The 5 adventurers that I have mentioned already heeded this call. Hawthorne arrived first to the table with a small tiefling boy. She is assured by the peg-legged bard she is not here as the child's nanny. Orloff and Bryn arrives next, and Fergus comes in last, already set to leave. That is the gathering of the companions. A dwarf and a human walk into the bar and address the child, who has just told the party that his stuffed toy, Patches, told him to leave home. Hawthorne detects strong magic on Patches. More than 500 years ago, dwarves and humans bound magic into the Forge of Spells in the Wave Echo Cave of Phandelver Mine. The cave was lost in an orc battle. The area has been resettled, but the reputation of treasure still precedes it. Locating the mine will put the newest surrounding city of Phandalin on the map, and award adventurers fame, magic and fortune. Akira and Patches negotiate that 10 GP per adventurer is too low a rate. Hawthorne persuades Gundren and his human companion Sildar to owe more as they will be caring for a child, as well as a caravan. A young merchant comes in wearing a big brown apron. Orloff and Akira take turns driving the caravan. Bryn sits lookout. Nothing arcane is detected about the caravan. They arrive at the Stumble Inn. The barkeep says the party has 3 rooms between them. Her husband stables the caravan. The child stays with Hawthorne, citing her as the most trustworthy. The caravan is still there in the morning, its contents are the same as the day before, and they continue on until the caravan reaches a couple of dead horses in the middle of the road, stuck with black arrows. Most of the party sees goblins nearby. Akira telepathically tells the goblins to come out and be his friend, then casts Charm Person. The goblins begin to fire arrows nonetheless. Fergus is the first to take one down, then he kills a second. Orloff kills the third. The charmed goblin is placated with 1 pork ration, then tied up. Bryn notices that the horses look like Gundren and Sildar's. They splash water on the goblin's face. He is no longer charmed and admits that he might have seen a human and a dwarf get ambushed. A messenger from the Goblin King said someone called the Black Spider wanted the dwarf alive. The human, however, was taken to the Eating Cave. The goblin falls into the very pit it warned them about, and the adventurers continue to the mouth of the cave. A small stream flows nearby. Fergus wades across the water and sees 2 goblins. He fires 1 arrow. Hawthorne takes the other goblin out with 1 chromatic orb. The adventurers detect no other goblins nearby and rest for an hour, thus ending Session 1. Session 2. The adventurers plan their next move. Suddenly, Gob Gob, the goblin that they left in the pit, appears with 5 health potions for each party member. 5 health potions, enough for each party member. Then just waddles back into the forest. Apparently he stabbed a cleric. Then a rustling and growling can be heard. Olaf approaches the cave and sees 3 wolves chained to stalagmites. He creeps back and tells the group what he's seen. Everyone approaches, Bryn warning, in animal tongue, that we mean no harm. The wolves snarl inches from Akira's face, who charges his mind and fires an eldritch blast. Fergus misses with an arrow, and Akira hops into the river and fires another blast, killing a wolf. Bryn tells the wolves to calm down or they will meet the same fate. Hawthorne attempts to see where else the cave may lead, thinking the wolves are quite stable and not the true antagonists. Fergus tells the wolves that every dog has its day, because that's his intelligence level. Fergus detects tracks, both goblins and larger creatures, leading further into the cave. He was under the impression that they belonged to the drummer of a band he was once in. There's also drag goblin marks. Hawthorne asks, how do you know they're his? And drag queen goblins? Fergus responds that he'd know those drumming tracks anywhere. Olaf inquires as to whether or not he wears drums on his feet. Meanwhile, a wolf breaks its chains, then gets blasted by Akira. Hawthorne takes out the 3rd wolf. A fissure leading upwards is spotted. The adventurers begin to climb. Olaf and Bryn reach the top. They see a large rock, lit from behind by a fire. They see a bugbear, a pair of goblins, and another wolf. Akira suggests that he could charm, and Olaf interjects, finishing the sentence with, the pants off him? Fergus then asks if he's wearing pants. There are 2 goblins in the corner, discussing dresses and earrings. Olaf lunges to strike the bugbear with his axe. Fergus decides he can sell their heels for a pretty penny and attacks the well-dressed goblin. Hawthorne incinerates both goblins. Fergus almost uses his healing potion on the shoes, but Hawthorne promises him a pair of hers instead. Akira manages to kill the bugbear after it has been singed and axed. Fergus takes out the last wolf. The team routes through the supplies, then finds a staircase leading down to 2 pools and a waterfall. 2 goblins stand nearby. Fergus uses vicious mockery with the cutting phrase, "Ha! Noblins!" Hawthorne hits all 3 with magic missile next. 1 falls dead. Fergus kills the 2nd goblin. Akira kills the 3rd. A 4th one comes running, but Akira and Hawthorne take it out as a team. Bryn disguises himself as a bugbear and continues. Eventually he sees Sildar, bruised, beaten and stripped. There are also 5 goblins, as well as a boss goblin with a crown of human fingers. The 5 goblins see the bugbear and make a run for it. Goblin boss addresses Bryn. Bryn tells him his band of goblins is lazy and hasn't been guarding the cave. Sildar decides he is ready to talk if the goblin leaves. Goblins, however, see the corpses upon exit. They begin to charge back in, boss goblin in tow. Akira and Hawthorne blast the wall, damaging the waterfall to flood them out. Bryn heals Sildar with one of his potions. Akira and Hawthorne run out to tie up the goblins. Olaf asks Sildar where Gundren is. He says the goblins took him to Cragmore Castle, but he doesn't know how to get. They decide to head to Phandalin and find out. They load all supplies on their cart, and Olaf eventually intimidates one of the goblins into telling the group where Cragmore is. Akira suggests throwing the goblins into the empty pit so they don't follow. They encounter Dave, the wounded cleric, and offer to give him a ride to Phandalin. They arrive at Phandalin, partially in ruins. Children and townspeople bustle about. The party drops off the barrels from the cave, marked Lion Shield Costa, at the trading post of the same name. A human named Lineen Greywind is pleased to see them. They each gain 10 GP as a reward. The group goes to the Stonehill Inn. Olaf feels a strange sensation, then notices a half-orc gentleman get scared and leave. Olaf follows him. He's in the middle of the road, crawling and sobbing. Fergus follows Olaf out. The orc sobs, "He's supposed to be dead." And then Olaf clubs his kneecaps and demands to know why he's here, who he's with. The orc lies. Olaf kills him. Fergus loots the orc wallet after Olaf leaves the body. Fergus finds 2 silver and a membership card that reads Garrosh Hellscream. Fergus celebrates entering identity theft. A voice tells Akira to wake... The party go to sleep. A voice tells Akira to wake up. He and Hawthorne detect nothing untoward, other than a body stuffed in an alley outside. They change rooms just in case. In the night, Bryn gambles, Olaf drinks, Fergus harasses a bard, then finds a tour poster for his old band on the wall and rips it down. An old farmer tells the group that several rumours have cropped up about locals going missing, needing help, and being hassled by the Red Brands. Apparently they hassle every business in town, except for the Phandalin Miners Exchange. Session 3. The adventurers remember that they were due to meet with Sildar at the Town Master's Hall the next morning. There is a black cat with a top hat sitting at the edge of Hawthorne's bed. Sir Percival Silkwhiskers, at your service. Orloff offers Sir Percival some armour because he thinks it would look adorable. And it probably would. A poster outside the town hall boasts an orc-facing quest. Inside, Sildar sits in new silky garb. It's quite a fat human banker with him. This hall has a small jail downstairs, and Sildar has been signing papers in the corner. He tells the group it's crucial to see what happened to Gundren and find Cragmore Castle. There's also the matter of the Red Brands. They've basically taken over the Sleeping Giant tap house and might have taken Sildar's friend, Iano. The adventurers approach the Sleeping Giant, where 4 scarlet-clad miscreants loiter outside. They tell the group to leave their valuables and go, but Akira taunts them. Combat begins. Akira falls unconscious almost immediately. Orloff kills one enemy, but the other 3 don't fall back. After Bryn heals Akira, the child takes out a second enemy. Orloff sidles up to one enemy, calls him a little bitch, and then attacks another, killing this third one. Orloff notices a 4th is left unarmed and shouts to keep him alive for questioning. Bryn charms the last red-cloaked enemy. Bryn questions the cloaked man, who confirms that he is part of the Red Brand. He says the others in his gang are all in the basement of the mansion, which has a secret entrance in the forest. He says he's locked up the wife and daughter of a man who tried to stand up to them. Orloff aims to put him in jail, but he runs away. Fergus shoots after him, and Orloff throws his axe, killing him. They remember the rumour about the farmer's son who found the secret tunnel, and then realise they're close to that farm. Akira plays with Carp, the young boy, and gets information about where the cave is. The others sit with Carp's mother, who tells them about her old druid friend, Radoff. The adventurers find the entrance to the cave and cloak themselves. They eat a meal before entering. There are columns with a crevasse inside. They can see, in amongst the columns, in the crevasse, a one-eyed creature. The creature warns the adventurers not to go near its treasure. It hints that it knows they aren't Red Brands, but if they bring him fresh corpses to eat, he won't care. The creature tells them where each passage in the cave will lead. Orloff attempts to cross a rope bridge, which falls out from under him. He sees the corpse of a man and a chest with the hilt of a sword poking out. Akira jumps across the chasm to the other side. Fergus finds a secret passageway after using a more stable bridge this time. The adventurers decide to go for the leader of the Red Brands, the Glass Staff, by ambushing him through the nearby secret passage. Fergus casts Fog Cloud and disorients everyone, causing several shots in the dark, and eventually him to fall, bleeding out. The adventurers tie the Glass Staff to the bed in the room and loot his quarters. They are horrified to realise that the Glass Staff matches the description for Iano, Sildar's missing friend. And whose was that corpse in the crevasse? Session 4. The Glass Staff is tied to the bed as the adventurers decide whether or not to wake and question him. Fergus ignores the discussion and goes into the next room to check for other people or loot. There's a rat, also unconscious, clearly Glass Staff's familiar. They also find a potion of invisibility, set up brewing, but know that it would take a month to complete. They hear raised voices and gambling through the next door. 3 of the 4 voices argue, no more than the amount of adventurers in their party, but before they choose who to go for, Orloff finds a dwarven tome. It details the forge of spells within the mine. The location of Waveacre Cave was lost when the orcs swept through the cave-ins, and the cave-ins were caused by allied dwarves and gnomes to stop the orcs. Orloff decides to go in and try to get into the game of Liar's Dice. They question him, but he mentions that he heard about this place from some guys in town. They get him a booster seat and a tankard of ale. When Orloff loses, he makes the Red Brands have a congratulatory drink. Eventually, Orloff wins the pot, making one Red Brand hit him in the face with a tankard. Combat begins. They defeat the Red Brands, leaving one alive, but breaking his arms. Dare they go into the next room? There is panicked whimpering behind its door. Fergus charges in. Hawthorne screams for him to wait. There are a number of bugbears tormenting a goblin. Hawthorne kills 2 bugbears and the goblin by throwing a fireball through the door. Fergus rolls under a bed for safety. Bryn takes out the 3rd bugbear. The adventurers head back to Glassstaff's quarters, waiting for him to come to as they rest. When Glassstaff awakens, he surrenders immediately. He reveals that his name is in fact Iano. He was convinced to join the Red Brands by someone called the Black Spider, then strangely reveals that Drendar is the corpse in the crevasse, but his wife and child are still in the basement of the mansion, guarded by 2 or 3. Iano reveals that he's received a letter from the Black Spider, saying that the travellers going to the mines must be captured and killed. The bugbears were the ones who were tasked with capturing the adventurers, so with them dead, there's no way to figure out or ask where they would have taken the group. They leave Iarno tied up, after getting advice about the Nothic's mind-reading powers, and drag the corpses to the crevasse, the front of the cave. Olaf charges the Nothic as it begins to eat the offerings. Eventually, Olaf manages to throw his axe into the eye of the Othic. It whispers, "Thank you," as it dies. Olaf buries it and says a prayer. Bryn and Fergus loot the crevasse. They find a sword inscribed with the name Talon, a wand, a ring, a scroll, and some potions. The adventurers check out the rest of the rooms of the cave and knock out 3 more red brands. They take their cloaks and gold, manage to avoid a trap, then pass through into a mausoleum. 3 skeletons notice that not all members of the group are wearing red cloaks and leap from their sarcophagi. Hawthorne takes one out, Akira the second and Fergus the third. There's a platinum ring inside one sarcophagus. They next find 3 captives in the next room. Myrna Drendar and her teenage kids, Nilsa and Nars. The party leaves the unconscious red brands in the cell, frees the family and takes Iarno back to the town jail. Sildar is shocked to see the group return with him. The adventurers are invited to join the Lord's Alliance, and they level up to level 3. Session 5. The adventurers wake up at the inn and order morning ales and Cocoa Pops. Akira demonstrates that he can pull swords and weapons out of the air that only he can wield. Outside the inn, a commotion centred on a dragonborn cleric arises. The cleric says he will remove curses for a fee or a trade. Bryn is interested. Apparently a ring he found in the tombs curses him with a new evil offer each rest. Today he is poisoned for an hour. The dragonborn shifts into a halfling who asks Bryn to do something for him, but also manages to remove his curses. The rest of the adventurers stock up on armour and healing kits. Bryn returns and says the orcs in the area may be worth visiting for information after the castle, or perhaps after opportunities on the way to the castle. Their options are to visit Sister Garael at the Shrine of Luck about her wounds, visit Darren Edamarth at the orchard about his past adventures, visit the orcs on the tribal trail, visit the river that turned briefly into chocolate, visit Thunder Tree about an heirloom. The group seeks the Shrine of Luck as it is in town close by. Sister Garael looks as if she's been attacked. She says by a wolf out of town. She asks if the group can take a silver comb to a banshee called Agatha in exchange for a spellbook she's been asked to find. The banshee apparently wouldn't appear for Garael, but she sensed her presence in that lair and believes the group may have better luck. The group sets off after their visit at the shrine to see the Chocolate River at Bryn's excitement. Olaf rents a wagon for the trip from Sildar. The group plays with the invisibility hat Bryn bought. Akira makes himself invisible. Akira, still invisible, goes into the cave by the river, smelling chocolate inside and calling to the others. The party tastes fallen chocolate. Akira sees a scaly creature curled up near some chocolate eggs. The creature's eggs appear to be material it hasn't laid, but turned to chocolate. The creature begins to turn Hawthorne's skin to chocolate. She attempts to suggest it stop, but fails. Akira tries to stab it with a greatsword, becoming visible once again. The creature turns Olaf slowly to chocolate as well, but when Hawthorne turns away from the creature, the chocolatiness recedes. Bryn uses a spell that bursts the chocolisk into molten chocolate goo. Everyone knows better than to dare to eat it, but they grab the chocolate eggs and liberate them from the cave. A small halfling woman is waiting outside. Olaf asks the woman to speak in private, and she takes him aside for a price. The group hears raucous laughter. Apparently, according to the halfling, the irremovable belt is turning Olaf into a woman. The halfling offers to remove the curse on him or give the group a helpful item. The halfling gives the party a bag of holding and removes Olaf's curse anyway and disappears, taking the belt with her. The group takes the wagon to the Banshee's lair. It's a very uneventful trip. The forest grows still and cold towards the end. The group finally sees a dome made out of warped branches they assume to be the Banshee's lair. It is furnished with old elven craft furniture. Hawthorne speaks to the Banshee in Elvish and offers the comb. The Banshee says she traded the spellbook to Surtnoth from the city of Iriabor over 100 years ago. She hisses and vanishes. The adventurers leave the wagon to track orc footprints on the trail. Akira invisibly sets forth, Fergus in tow. They see a single orc guarding a cave. There are 7 orcs and an ogre inside the cave. Akira kills their guard, Fergus casts Hail of Thorns on the leader and every orc in range. Hawthorne kills 2 orcs with snowballs, and Olaf kills one with his sword. Bryn summons a flaming sphere, and the remaining living orcs flee. The ogre remains. Akira jumps onto its shoulders, but is wounded by it. Olaf plunges his sword into the ogre's belly button. It turns out it was an outie. Fergus declares that means he deserved to die. Olaf drags the ogre's corpse outside to ward off any others, and they stay the night there. Session 6. The adventurers wake up and go hunting for breakfast. Fergus turns berries into coulis and serves them with some boar meat, but then wanders off. He ends up not so stealthily stumbling into a campsite. He is met with a parade of zombies, who are thankfully stopped by a necromancer. The man is cloaked with a tattoo on his forehead and introduces himself as Hammond Cost. He tells Fergus that there are some nearby orcs he'd like to have taken care of, but Fergus reveals the party already did. Hammond Cost proffers a jewelled box, which he hasn't been able to open, as a reward. However, he says that if Fergus can find out the name of the man who built the nearby watchtower, there will be more rewards. Back at the campsite, Akira pulls a key out of the air to open Fergus's new box. He finds a ring with shifting elven script. Bryn decides it's a ring of protection, and Akira puts it on. The adventurers continue on to Cragmore Castle. Maybe someone there will be able to tell them who built the watchtower, but they will at least find Gundren, they hope. There are G symbols scratched all over the walls. The castle consists of 7 towers of varying heights and states of repair. Akira manages to spy a hidden entrance. Fergus can hear goblins chanting through the stone. Voices can also be heard from the other direction. A curtain hangs inside to the front. Olaf parts it to see 2 hobgoblins with their back to the group. Fergus shoots one with an arrow and Akira takes out the other. As they get closer, they can tell the other voices are arguing about payment and a map. Akira turns invisible and knocks on the door. Bryn says, "Excuse me, sir, your gold has arrived." And a bugbear opens the door, flanked by a wolf. Gundren Rockseeker, the dwarf, is slumped in the corner. The adventurers, save for Akira, who creeps invisibly towards Gundren, attack the bugbear. Fergus shoots arrows, Hawthorne fires magic missiles, but Olaf cuts it open with a groin attack, slicing him from groin to neck. Akira throws leftover chocolate to the wolf. The wolf tackles Fergus, who exclaims, "Careful! This wolf is pointy!" Hawthorne firebolts the wolf. The adventurers finally unite and ungag Gundren. He says the creature that was arguing with a bugbear was a drow who teleported away. The drow wanted Gundren's map to Wave Echo Cave. Hawthorne attempts to find the map in the cave room. All of a sudden, Gundren punches Fergus, knocking him out, and reveals the real Gundren under a tarp before piercing the real Gundren with his claws. Combat resumes. Akira, Olaf and Hawthorne attack while Bryn brings Fergus back to consciousness. Fergus wishes to use vicious mockery to tell him he is a smeg-guzzling hobo whore mother who was born in a shopping trolley. Akira finally kills the doppelganger with a hellish rebuke. Olaf heals Gundren. His map is unfortunately burnt to ash as it is in the pocket of the doppelganger. The adventurers take Gundren out and make a camp for the evening. During the second watch, a note appears on a nearby tree directed at Fergus. The note reads, "Pew pew, you can't hide." Fergus tells the group about the note and the drummer of his old band, who is looking for him. The group is concerned for their welfare. Fergus can only remember leaving the band because something went wrong, but he can't recall what it was or how much he was part of it. He can't even remember what the drummer looks like, except being bipedal and possibly an elf. The group sets off back to town as Gundren isn't ready to go to Wave Echo Cave just yet. They have a morning ale in town and Gundren acquires gold from Sildar to pay the adventurers. Simultaneously, Hawthorne notices another elf in the inn. He appears to be dressed in the way that's popular in her home city. She compliments his style and realises that he is from her home city. He's called RF01 Wardrobe and says he's a travelling writer who has heard about the group looking for the lost mines. Hawthorne tells him her name, but he doesn't let on that he recognises it. Olaf and Akira step outside for some fresh air. Sir Percival follows, and they see a gnome looking to fight Olaf. The gnome, Millhouse Manostorm, claims the fight is revenge for Olaf killing someone. He paralyses Olaf, but Sir Percival and Akira take out his swarms of rats. Bryn and Hawthorne hear a scuffle outside. They rush to check on their colleague. Bryn finally manages to take out the gnome. RF01 Wardrobe compliments the group's magic and fighting. Session 7. After a steak dinner and an early night's sleep, the adventurers begin to wake up in their respective rooms at the town inn. Akira hears a whisper. He thinks a voice said, "Curricaton." But when he writes down the word, Patches can't read it. Hawthorne isn't sure what to make of the word either. or the fact that Akira heard it in the night. They wake up the others, but the only thing they know between them is that it sounds like a name. The innkeeper isn't any help either. Gundren arrives downstairs for breakfast. He's a bit starved, being a prisoner and all. Gundren is interested in going straight to the mines to get his brother, now that the location has been revealed. Arathonor rejoins the group, hoping to see the adventurers again when they return. He's intent on writing their story so he can use it as the tale as admittance into Candlekeep Library, but he's too scared to go on an adventure himself. Pip, the innkeeper's son, runs in crying about how the local child, Carp, who played with Akira and gave the group information, has been taken. Pip also proffers up a note for the red person. Fergus reads the note, and it says, "Pew pew, I'm coming for you." Pip says he saw the cloaked kidnapper run towards the Chocolisk cave. Fergus doesn't remember what the drummer looks like, on account of being on a lot of Arcanabis back then. The group arrives at the cave. Bryn casts pass without trace on them. Orloff sees nothing in the cave, but the party notices a second cave nearby that they didn't see on the last visit. They enter the second cave without leaving anyone to stand guard outside. Akira hears smashing and tinkling noises within. Bryn puts on his invisibility hat. The hat is still visible though, because as far as anyone else is concerned, he is now just a floating, large, floppy-brimmed purple velvet hat. It makes him feel slimy, like a pimp. Hawthorne sent Sir Percival to peek around the cave. He smelt dog. He also saw Carp and some piles of treasure guarded by a large two-headed dog. There was also a broken/used invisibility potion discarded near the tied-up boy and a skeleton. Akira invisibly creeps towards Carp to see if he's alive, then speaks to his mind and sees Carp nod that he is okay. Fergus sees an old Shooty Newts poster on the floor of the cave, but when he picks it up, a wire on it pulls open a chest of loot nearby, and starts their hit song playing, "Pew pew, I'm a newt." A woman suddenly becomes visible behind Fergus and stabs him in the back. The dagger turns to dust as she scurries up the wall of the cave. The death dog charges at Akira, but misses. A direwolf appears nearby as well. Fergus shoots an arrow at the one who stabbed him, which fells her from the cave wall. She is not the drummer of the Shooty Newts, but Fergus thinks he's seen her with the drummer before. The group then focuses on the canine and lupine threats. Akira casts Hellish Rebuke. Hawthorne casts Magic Missile. Bryn heals Fergus, who is still trying to make sure his attacker is down. Akira eventually takes out both heads of the death dog. Orloff and Bryn fight the direwolf, which is turned to ash by Sacred Flame. As the group approaches the treasure, Akira notices that the treasure seems to be turning from gold to iron, and rusting immediately. There is a bug travelling through the coins. Hawthorne misses it with a firebolt. Fergus also has a memory of his drummer come back to him when he approaches the treasure, and realising the skeleton guarding it is dressed like the old bandmate. Akira turns the gold devourer to ash. He's able to untie Carp, who runs away saying he'll be fine and needs to get home. Fergus sees the woman gasping her last breaths. "Pew pew flip you!" In case there are miners in the cave, that works on so many levels. "Who are you? You don't remember me? I was your..." She coughs up blood. "Guitarist." "Was I not the guitarist?" "It doesn't matter. You're marked. The band is getting back together." "But you're dead. And so is he." "Hans and the other members will come for you." "Who's Hans?" "Oh my god!" And then she dies. It's implied the band will get back together in the afterlife, and possibly kill more people than Fergus, but he doesn't remember how many more band members there were. Meanwhile, Akira found a banknote from the Shooty Newts accounts. Hawthorne reads it and sees Shalem cleaned them all out. Bryn goes to check a treasure chest and discovers it's a mimic. Hawthorne mind spikes and Fergus shoots arrows, while Orloff manages to kill it with his greatsword, and it also turns into ash. Akira notices Fergus is a bit green. Bryn wonders if this is a poisonous effect from being stabbed. Everyone decides to deal with it later. Carp ends up waiting for the group outside the cave. He tells Fergus that the lady who captured him said a bloodstalker would be coming for him. The group returns to the inn. Gundren is full of food finally, but he's drawn a map to the mines on the underside of a coaster. The group decides to tackle the mines tomorrow in full daylight, but there is still the opportunity to visit Darren Edemarth in the orchard in town. Of course, as they always do, they ask if Bloodstalker or Keratin mean anything to Darren, but neither word does. He details the idea of a necromancer nearby, and Fergus remembers meeting him. Darren is able to recall, when asked, that a magical kingdom called the Netherrealm built the tower that the necromancer sought to know more about. Since the mines are closer, the group sets off for a night's rest camped near the entrance of Waveecho Cave. In the middle of the night, a dog appears. Sir Percival, keeping watch, meows to alert the others. Akira blasts it and everyone goes back to sleep. In the morning, they enter Wave Echo Cave. There is a booming, echoing noise immediately. The group sees sleeping bags, camping rations, and the body of a dwarf miner who's been dead for at least a week. It's most likely Thardan, Gundren's brother. There is a pit 20 feet deep with a rope leading down into it. Hawthorne notices the boots that Thardan was wearing were magical. Olaf decides to put them on and his speed is increased. Akira tries to climb down the rope but falls. Olaf falls in as well, even with magic boots. They see nothing in the pit but 2 tunnels leading further from it. Everyone manages to climb or fall down and they hear the booming echoing from either tunnel. Bryn casts Augury to see which tunnel they should choose. They get a wheel omen that Gundren's remaining brother will be through the north tunnel. The north tunnel further divides. Akira goes down one end, the others go down slightly down the middle section. There are watery noises. Bloop, 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 bloop. Hawthorne hears oozing and tells the others to get Akira back. They happen upon a dark, still pool with a fishy odour. Fergus loses his footing and falls in. He sees a skeleton wearing 2 rings, holding a wand. He quickly grabs the rings and wand before swimming to the surface. Fergus thinks it's a drumstick, but it's actually a wand of magic missiles. Past the pool is a small staircase leading to a door. Akira opens it invisibly. Sir Percival stands by to confuse who might be beyond the door. 5 bugbears turn and cry, "Lunch!" Akira immediately casts suggestion for one of the bugbears to try and eat the other. Fergus also shoots an arrow at that pair of them from over Akira's head, which kills the non-suggested one instantly. Akira blasts a spell at the third, taking out one more, while the first bugbear continues to eat the corpse. Fergus kills another with an arrow. 3 remain alive, though one is still eating. Hawthorne sends 4 magic missiles to one, leaving him staggering, until Bryn surprises him with a mace to the head. The last bugbear actively fighting misses, and Fergus takes him out. Bryn inquires how long suggestion lasts, and Akira informs him that it is 8 hours, before shuddering. Akira, Bryn and Fergus mercy kill the cannibalistic bugbear on the count of 3. They cover the half-eaten one with a tarp from the room, and find a pouch on one of the bugbear corpses, with gold coins and a potion of vitality. Hawthorne hears a bugbear voice coming from another nearby tunnel, telling a group, "Find it! Dig, you cretins!" They follow the voice and come across another enemy. It's a bugbear, and a drow, and 2 more bugbears in the chasm below. Hawthorne sends fire and Akira sends madness. The drow is changed by Akira's madness charm into its true doppelganger form, and it kills a bugbear in the chasm in its confusion. Bryn casts command on the bugbear above ground, who leaps into the chasm too. Meanwhile, Fergus wanders away and hears a voice behind a door saying, "And how was our progress?" Hawthorne sends fire into the chasm, killing a bugbear. Only 1 more, and the doppelganger remain, though the rope out of the chasm is burnt. The mad, charmed bugbear kills the doppelganger. Akira then charms it further to leave the chasm and attack whatever is in the next room. Fearing it might attack someone in the party, Bryn ends up untying its climbing rope to send it plummeting to its death. Akira finds all the gauntlets of ogre strength there before they go into the next room. By flanking it from both doors they think will lead in. He invisibly opens the door and sees a drow, 2 bugbears, and 4 giant spiders. Hawthorne immediately casts Agonaz's Scorcher 30 feet into the room, affecting 5 of the 7 creatures. Fergus and Olaf burst in when they hear the screams. The drow, revealed to be the black spider, cast darkness over the room. Fergus fires an arrow into the darkness at random and ends up hitting the black spider point blank in the face, killing him instantly. The darkness dissipates. Akira takes out one of the spiders, but Bryn gets caught in the webbing. 2 bugbears and 3 spiders remain. Olaf takes a huge hit from a bugbear's club. Fergus then takes out the second spider, while Akira kills the bugbear in his way. Hawthorne sets flames on the remaining 3 enemies. Olaf kills the last bugbear, though he's close to death himself, and Bryn kills the penultimate spider, while Hawthorne just manages to beat the last. The adventurers take a breather, but Bryn noticed an emerald-eyed statue and pulled the gems out of it, which caused the ceiling to collapse, knocking him and Olaf unconscious, bludgeoning the others to at least half health. Akira manages to pull them out. The conscious members of the group pour healing potions down the throats of those who are unconscious. The group does manage to leave with some coins, an ale mug, a spellbook, a key, and a black staff with a spider on top. They use the key to open a nearby door and find Nundro, Gundren's youngest brother, inside. Session 8. The group doesn't immediately untie Nundro, as they've had bad luck with doppelgangers in the past. A rest is had, and upon awakening the group decides he is definitely a dwarf, but that he doesn't need to come with them while they check out the rest of the cave. They'll lock him in safely. Nundro said his brother was killed during an ambush. The dwarf tells the group that he has seen a goopy yellow creature, as well as a drow and the bugbears they've already vanquished. With one known creature left, they lock Nundro in and go looking for it. Olaf hears the ooze. Bloop bloop, bloop bloop. Akira jumps on his shoulders to try and see further, but falls into the cave water. Olaf also falls in whilst trying to pull him out. Eventually everyone manages to pass by the dark pool into the next area. The bloop noise is heard again. Bloop bloop, bloop bloop. Bryn shouts, "Hello, goop monster, are you about?" while the rest of the group argues about who to send around the corner first. The glooping noise stops. Olaf charges forward and sees a yellow, custard-coloured, oozy creature drop from the ceiling. It attempts to caress Olaf's armour. Akira summons his greatsword and splits it in two, killing it instantly, until the party realises it now has control of both halves. "Whoops, don't use a sword," claims Akira. Olaf thunderously smites it with a club instead of using his axe. Fergus manages to kill half of it with an arrow, while Akira blasts the other. Ooze explodes everywhere. The group wait for a moment to be sure, but all this heard is a faint booming sound, the same one they've been hearing this entire time. Akira decides to run forward and sees another creature around the corner. It is a grey-skinned, long-tongued, flesh-hungry, hissing monster! More hisses follow from behind it. Hawthorne immediately blasts a swarm of snowballs their way. Olaf clubs one, who just misses him. Everyone runs into position to fight an attacking grey horde. 30 feet of flames take out two of the monsters, arcing around Olaf to keep him safe. But 5 creatures still remain. Akira kills one, though, with a green flame blade, which sends flames to kill another. Fergus critically hits with a hail of thorns, which kills one, but only pokes the second. 2 more remain. One creature manages to paralyse Akira. The other attempts to bite him, but can't get through his armour. Bryn just manages to see by the light from the smouldering fire on a corpse's trousers, but sadly misses his shot. He lacks dark vision, you see. Hawthorne tries to toll the dead on the last monster she can see, but can't yet add it to the ranks of the re-dead. Olaf cleaves up through the bowels and spine of an unsuspecting distracted ghoul. Fergus kills the final emerging creature with an arrow to the bladder. While the group waits for Akira's paralysis to end, Fergus searches the corpses. Bryn searches Akira's pockets, and Olaf takes a bath in the nearby cave pool. The group finally has a look at the room and sees older corpses and skeletons of fights past. He keeps a skull as a souvenir. The group continues into another room where they can see a bellows, a water wheel still stuck in a dry channel, and 2 red flickering lights floating above, which turn out to be the eyes and a skull surrounded by green flames. Akira sees a scorching spell coming from the skull, and he jumps in front of the others to block them from 30 feet of flames by swallowing it. He falls unconscious, but the others are spared. Bryn manages to bring him back to consciousness, but Akira is still smoking from the mouth, as he rebukes and explodes the skull with a blow to its head. Then the corpses on the floor begin to reanimate. 8 zombies growl. Hawthorne hits them all immediately with a shatter, but they still all advance. Akira kills 2 with a great weapon master attack from his sword. Hawthorne witch bolts one, and Akira manages to take out 2 more in one go, and then a third. Fergus kills one with a short sword, and Akira takes the last zombie out too. The lingering light from the flame skull shows the adventurers a now empty room. With most of the party wounded and Akira close to death for his selfless act, they decide to rest. Session 9. After a short rest, Akira realises Patches is quite burnt as well. He asks him how it happened, but receives no answer. The group continues into the next room, where 2 more pinpricks of red light appear. It's the flame skull, back again. Olaf blocks a beam with his shield. Hawthorne and Fergus both miss. Akira suggests the skull take a swim. When that doesn't immediately work, Fergus puts his souvenir orc skull on his head to pretend he is one of them. The flame skull seems to recognise Akira, choosing him for most of its attacks. Hawthorne hits it with 5 magic missiles, but remembers from her wizard studies that flame skulls will always reappear, cursed to remain as guards for wherever they're created to watch over. An hour after they've been destroyed. Bryn blesses Akira, just in case, but ends up driving his mace down onto its head, turning the flame skull to. Hawthorne investigates the room. The group wonders how to protect future miners from the flame skull's eventual reappearance. Bryn prays to his god. This allows Bryn to begin a ceremony spell to create holy water, but it takes about an hour, and just as the ashes are about to rise again, Bryn sprinkles the water in the nick of time. Finally, the group is able to move into the chamber beyond the skulls. Watch. Sir Percival scouts forward, lending his vision to Hawthorne as she concentrates. Sir Percival has found where the booming noise is coming from. There's an enormous crevice with water at the bottom. The echo suggests this cave is much larger. Sir Percival continues in another direction to a room with glittering minerals, full of skeletons already crushed. Sir Percival detects magic and notices that these rooms are sized for humans, rather than the previous dwarf-sized caverns. There is one single door and one double door. The group follows Hawthorne's lead and opens the single door while Fergus listens to the double doors. The small room is a workshop full of broken items, with another door inside. Olaf opens it. He sees a brazier of eerie green flame, with a floating creature with eye stalks who says, "Hello," into each group member's. "Greetings! What happened here?" says Olaf. It lists to one side, its tongue lolling out of its head. "Could be a relative of yours, Olaf," says Fergus. The creature replies, "Are you workers in the mines? New recruits?" Bryn says, "Sure," and Hawthorne agrees. "We have been recruited, yes." The spectator inquires, "For what purpose?" "To rid the mine of the Black Spider." "I know not who that is. Just dwarves and humans, due to the pact." "Who sent you?" "My superiors, who will dismiss me when they're ready." Bryn says, "They said we could dismiss you." The spectator says, "Oh, thank you, goodbye. I apologise for my terrible Olaf impersonation, except I really am not sorry at all." After checking over the green flame brazier, Hawthorne realises it gives an advantage to any weapon stuck into the flames. This magical fire must be what everyone was either looking to guard or to find. In the room full of sparkling minerals, Hawthorne confirms that the most magical item nearby was the brazier. She stashes some of the glittering stones as souvenirs, and the group continues further to explore another cave chamber. When they find a double door, Fergus and Olaf attempt to bust it open. They find a bedroom, scorched, with an iron chest at the foot of the bed. A spectral creature rises from the floor. The creature, offended by their presence, attacks. Bryn strikes it with his mace, newly found in the last chamber. It glows as bright as a torch and deals extra damage to the undead. Olaf holds a stone in the air and shouts, "Abandon!" This reverses gravity. Sir Percival and Hawthorne float to the ceiling, the only two capable of seeing the poisonous gas in a room nearby disperse. Also due to the reverse gravity, Hawthorne shakes the spectre with a chromatic orb, but the fight continues in the spectre's bedroom, with the rest of the group. Fergus finally sinks an arrow into it, and it explodes. Gravity resumes. Everyone falls with a crash except Hawthorne and Percival, who stick their landings. She opens the chest to reveal so much gold. Hawthorne tries to warn the others about the gas in the next unexplored chamber, but sees Akira glowing phosphorescent puffballs. sees glowing phosphorescent puffballs and tries to cuddle them, poisoning himself for 10 minutes. They take a short rest for Akira's sake in the brazier room, just in case. The group decides to go through any other untouched rooms before returning to Phandelver. Olaf leads the way. Eventually he hears something behind a door. The adventurers open the door, then open fire on 3 looming ghouls. Fergus takes one out immediately, then another after a round of combat. Akira kills the third. However, just above Akira, 10 sturges drop from the ceiling, swarming the boy, the bat-like insects with shrill cries and terrible beaks. Bryn kills the first of them. Hawthorne takes out 3 with a line of flame. Akira casts invisibility on himself to thwart the sturge's swoops, but a sturge still attacks and manages to attach himself to the unconscious boy. Bryn kills the sturge on Akira's body, but can't heal him just yet. Fergus kills a 6th. Olaf stabilises Akira. Bryn kills Sturge 7. Fergus gets Sturge 8, Hawthorne kills the 9th, and Olaf finally gets the last one. The group finds themselves close to the cave's entrance once again. They see a larger chamber and a smaller chamber. The small office chamber houses several orc and dwarf corpses, and an iron strongbox there, so far unable to open. They move towards the door of the... they pause. They move towards the door of the next room. 4 skeletons lurk in the large chamber. Orloff shatters one immediately. Bryn kills the second. Akira takes the third down and Bryn gets the last. Akira pulls a small dagger from the air and fails to pick the lockbox. They put the box into the bag of screaming and return to rescue Nundro. They escort him out of the mine's caves. They bury Nundro's brother, Thardan, just outside the cave. The heroes return to town and reunite Gundren with Nundro. Gundren Rockseeker says they'll be given a cut of the mine's profits, 10% for life. They get a good night's sleep at the inn in town, and gain a level, now reaching level 5. Then they take an uneventful trip back to the city of Neverwin. The group and Arathanor, who still wants to write their epic tale, return to Timothy Taylor's inn and collect their rewards and ales. The landlord also says there's a place for them to live that's now up for grabs, because it's a little bit haunted. It's an old fire station near the merchant district, so they go shopping and civilian questioning. The owner of the toy store tries to get Akira to throw away Patches and get a new stuffed toy. Akira telepathically tells the merchant, "Never." Akira and Orloff attempt to barter with the apothecary, and Bryn attempts to charm him. They get themselves banned from the shop. Then they go to the magical item emporium. A halfling shopkeeper shows them a secret room behind a curtain. Akira helps Hawthorne purchase a wand of the War Mage. They ask the halfling if he's heard of Curricaton, but he hasn't. He also doesn't know anything of the ghosts in the old fire station. Bryn also buys several new items, and Orloff purchases a cloak of protection. The group heads to the Tourist Information Bureau. The man at the desk says the ghosts are common knowledge, but that he doesn't know who's seen them. Just the estate agents at Red Bricks tried to sell it and no one is buying. Gloria said she saw 4 ghosts in tan jumpsuits during the last tour she gave the property. She takes the group to the door, but no further. Hawthorne tries to tell Gloria to alert the local authorities if they don't come back in 2 hours. Sir Percival sees a ghost go up a staircase when he looks through the window. The group enters and is immediately met with a ghost who rises from the floor. He's wearing a tan jumpsuit with a name tag that says, Stance. Bryn summons his own ghosts. Hawthorne's ray of frost is no good against ghosts. Another ghost appears. His name badge says Zedimor. Akira envelops the ghost in Hadar's hunger, which sends him into a horrifying plane of darkness and slurping noises. Bryn's holy ghosts eventually take out Stance, but a ghost named Spengler appears by a bookcase. Akira enters the darkness and kills Zedimor. 2 are gone, but a 4th, named Venkman, appears. Spengler hits Orloff with a lot of necrotic damage, but he goes after Venkman. Acid damage from Hawthorne isn't enough. Akira eventually takes Spengler out, and then Venkman too. Congratulations, you have busted all the ghosts. When the heroes emerge, Gloria is outside. They said they'll take the place. A nearby wizard in an alley wails. He'd been conjuring the ghosts to drive the rent down, but his scheme has failed. The adventurers pick out their rooms upstairs, and another ghost in a tuxedo appears. He asks not to be banished, in return for being able to serve the group as their butler. Timothy Taylor, the landlord, says they'll need a name so people in town will know what to call them and how to offer their services. Well, we're mostly good guys who can't stand crime, so hate crime? This suggestion is resoundingly voted down. Hawthorne suggests that as they have the reckless amethyst and live in a firehouse, go reckless flame, and thus the group have earned their name. Now, continue listening to the playlist. The recap for session 10 is at the start of session 11, and then the uploads should be fairly consistent from there. Thank you for listening.